Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So in this video, Tesla flexes hard and puts the world on notice in their 2020 impact report. So I'm going to run through some highlights from this almost 100-page report. Of course, if you're a Tesla stock investor and you really want to do your homework, I highly recommend you guys and girls read the entire impact report yourself. There's a link in the description. But let's be honest, I know some of you are lazy motherfuckers, so hey, let's get into the video. If you love crypto, stocks, and free stuff, or just want to help out the channel, check out these great offers. BlockFi are launching the world's first Bitcoin rewards credit card. People in the US can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase with no annual fee using the BlockFi Bitcoin rewards credit card. Check out the link in the description. And for a limited time, you can get up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, where you can use cryptocurrency to earn interest, borrow cash, and buy or sell crypto. If you want your free crypto, use the link in the description. And if you'd like up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $300 just for opening an account. And if you make an initial deposit of $5 or more, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $2,000. Seriously. Free stocks? Yes, please. And finally, if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake, also linked in the description. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Let's get back to it. So first of all, let's skim through the key highlights from Tesla's 2020 impact report on their website. Tesla's 2020 impact report. Quote, in 2020, Tesla customers helped accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy by avoiding 5 million metric tons of CO2 emissions. Full vertical integration for maximum impact. We are designing and manufacturing a complete energy and transportation ecosystem that is fully vertically integrated. By doing so, we are creating affordable products that work together to amplify their impact, leading to the greatest environmental benefit possible. We seek to achieve this through our research and software development efforts, as well as through our continued drive to develop advanced manufacturing capabilities. And we can see in this graphic here, Tesla's battery cells going into their 2 core products, energy storage and Tesla vehicles, both of which are driven by Tesla software, full self-driving in the case of the vehicles, and Audible software in the case of the energy products. And obviously we've got the sun powering Tesla solar panels, feeding into Tesla's energy storage products. This is the complete Tesla ecosystem, end-to-end energy generation, storage, and supply, and that also extends into transportation. Significantly less life cycle emissions than ICE vehicles. To determine a vehicle's environmental impact, its entire life cycle, including both its manufacturing and usage emissions, must be accounted for. The average ICE vehicle emits, fancy that, 69 tons of CO2 over its lifetime through its use phase, excluding CO2 emitted during the oil refining phase. But because Tesla vehicles are powered entirely by electricity, their lifetime emissions are significantly lower. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for any of you watching who ever hear from some numbnut that tells you that Tesla vehicles aren't that good for the environment, they're worse than ICE, blah, 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 please just send them this single graphic. There's so many bellends out there who claim that the manufacturing of an EV or a battery pack, etc. actually has higher emissions than an ICE vehicle. Now, again, I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but we can see there's a fairly stark contrast. Even with a Model 3 for personal use being charged off the grid, the lifetime emissions versus the average mid-size premium ICE vehicle in the US are not even close. We're looking at about 1/3 of the lifetime emissions. The most efficient EVs ever. Shout out to Tesla flexing just because they can. Tesla cars convert electricity into power more efficiently than other equivalent EVs. And as we continue to develop our technology, our vehicle's efficiency will improve further as well. Our Model 3 Standard Range Plus is the most energy efficient vehicle on the market and is an example of how significant such improvements can be. As we can see here, Model Y efficiency out in a league of its own, head and shoulders above the so-called competition. The same thing can be said of the Model 3, again, head and shoulders above the so-called competition. This graphic shows the closed loop of battery materials. Once the materials have been mined, we get into a closed loop system. We have battery production, lifetime usage in a vehicle, then battery recycling, which extracts the raw materials, the same thing as mining, except they're no longer needing to be extracted from the ground. Instead, they can be mined from existing batteries that are no longer in use that are being recycled. Battery packs will see 92% reuse of raw metals. A Tesla battery pack is designed to outlast the vehicle itself. Because of this, few consumer Tesla batteries, even those from our nearly 9-year-old Model S cars, have been decommissioned to date. In preparation for the future, our battery factories have already begun implementing an in-house closed-loop recycling system that will ensure 100% of Tesla batteries received are recycled and up to 92% of their raw materials reused. This is a great graphic showing Tesla Model S and X battery retention per distance traveled. A lot of people have this misconception that the battery range on an electric vehicle will plummet over its lifetime, but as we can see here, there's not a huge amount of degradation. We're still looking at around 90 or so % of their total capacity after 200,000 miles traveled, which is about the average lifetime miles traveled in a vehicle in the United States. EV ownership leads to reduced pollution, nitrogen oxides, and CO2 emissions. A major benefit of EVs that is often overlooked is their lack of tailpipe emissions. Air pollution in the form of carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and fine particulates from burning fossil fuels causes over 8 million premature deaths per year. Let's think about that for a moment. 8 million premature deaths. For contrast, close to 1.5 million people die per year in traffic accidents. EVs don't just benefit the future of our planet, they also help address preventable deaths today. There's also mounting evidence that air pollution can adversely affect intelligence. I'm not even kidding. Maybe this can explain some of the Tesla Q folks. Maybe they live in areas with extraordinarily high levels of air pollution. And now looking at safety, number of vehicular accidents per million miles driven in 2020. Notice the US average over here on the right in grey. And now we're looking at variations from Tesla vehicles with autopilot engaged, with active safety features only, and with no active safety features. Now, this is the real key to focus on. Things can be a little bit misleading if you're talking about whether or not autopilot is engaged or active safety, but if you're just talking about vehicle for vehicle, no active safety features whatsoever, look at the difference. Now, part of this is to do with handling, center of gravity, blah, 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 but look at the difference. Tesla vehicles demonstrably, considerably safer than the US average today, and they're only getting safer over time. Reduced collisions with active safety and autopilot active. Safety is our primary design goal. I just want to jump in here. A lot of people seem to forget this. They think Tesla's trying to go for performance or luxury, this, that, and the other. The number one thing before everything else at Tesla has always been and always will be safety. Every aspect of our vehicle's engineering, from the positioning of the battery to the suite of active and passive safety features, is based off safety-first architecture. And when active safety features are engaged, Tesla vehicles have a 4.5% lower collision rate than other vehicles. Tesla vehicles with autopilot engaged experienced just 0.2 accidents per million miles driven, while the US average was around 9 times higher at 2 accidents per million miles driven. And as we can see here, Tesla absolutely slaying it with their safety ratings worldwide. 5 stars across the board, whether we're talking about the US, Europe, or Australia. Clean sweep. Not a single 4-star rating, not a single 4.5 star, everything 5-star safety rating. Some highlights here, including the lowest rollover risk for any SUV ever tested in the Model Y. The Model 3, the best vehicle safety ever achieved, and Tesla doing a bit of FUD fighting here. Fire incidents are around 11 times lower for Tesla vehicles. Of course, you'd never know that if you pay attention to the fake news. I think the graphic sums things up perfectly here. Tesla fire rate versus US average. A blip on the radar. But as I said, you'd never know this if you pay attention to the poorly incentivized mainstream media. Now, it's time for a deep dive into Tesla's impact report. We're going to look at a bunch of highlights and some really interesting insights into where Tesla see themselves in the future. And here we are, Tesla's 2020 impact report. Just got to take a moment to appreciate what they've done here. You've got the Tesla lineup of vehicles and a very smoggy city skyline in the background. Need I say more? Quote, "The very purpose of Tesla's existence is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy." And I've got to jump in here. Tesla has done a stunning job in achieving this mission. The work's not done, but they have already unequivocally accelerated the world's transition to sustainable energy. Every automaker on planet Earth today who wants to survive the decade has been forced to transition as quickly as they possibly can to EVs. Without Tesla, this would not have happened. At Tesla, we strive to be the best on every metric relevant to our mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. In order to maximize our impact, we plan to continue increasing our production volumes and the accessibility of our products. So just translating there, they're going to make a lot more vehicles and other products, and they're going to continue to drive the cost down. A lot of people seem to be overlooking this. I'm just going to point out once again, $25,000 Tesla's just around the corner. Second half of this decade, you can mark my fucking words, there'll be another generation vehicle as well, probably priced around $18,000 US. Tesla hasn't announced this product yet. I don't have any inside information, but this is so fucking obvious. As their costs come down, as their manufacturing techniques improve, etc., battery costs come down, cost less to produce vehicles, there will be another iteration of a vehicle after the $25,000 Tesla, and that vehicle alone will sell 10 plus million units per year. In more concrete terms, this means that by 2030, we are aiming to sell 20 million electric vehicles per year, compared to 0.5 million in 2020, as well as deploy 1,500 gigawatt hours. That's 1.5 terawatt hours of energy storage per year, compared to 3 gigawatt hours in 2020. Clearly some enormous growth there. This is a key insight. I did a recent video talking about my thoughts on Tesla in 2031. I'll put a card in the corner if you guys haven't already seen that. I predicted that Tesla's battery volumes in 2031, somewhere around 1 terawatt hour give or take, but I also left a little bit of a buffer for the potential that they're supplying batteries to other automakers and just to be very conservative using nice round numbers. This is the first time that I've actually seen Tesla mention explicitly what they're aiming to do in terms of energy storage products. 1.5 terawatt hours, end of the decade. Here we can see some of the key metrics again. Tesla Model 3 emissions through the lifetime of the vehicle versus the average mid-size US premium vehicle. Another really cool graphic here is showing Tesla's energy used, as in energy consumed producing vehicles, batteries, etc. Basically just operating the company versus total energy produced from their solar products. Look at this, you can barely see the energy consumed, so Tesla obviously already having a massive net positive impact on the environment. This is possibly one of the most important graphics in the entire report. Global greenhouse gas emissions by economic sector. Electricity and heat production. By the way, shout out to a future Tesla HVAC product. 31%, 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions by economic sector just from electricity and heat production alone. Transportation, a further 17%. These two in total about half of all greenhouse gas emissions on planet Earth. Given Tesla's mission, it is worth wondering, in the future, is it possible that maybe Tesla does their best to also get involved in industry, agriculture, forestry, other land uses, building/construction, and quote, other? Something to think about. Wherever there's opportunity, I think we'll see Tesla go. Now on to the environmental impact. A Model 3 has lower lifetime emissions than an equivalent ICE vehicle after driving just 5,340 miles. Let that one sink in. And some really important notes here, variables often overlooked by other life cycle studies. Not considering the higher energy efficiency of Tesla's powertrain. So just want to talk about this point really quickly. Let's say that for the same size battery, you get half the miles. That means you're basically half as efficient. You're going to require twice as much energy to actually get the same distance over the lifetime of the vehicle. This is a really key point that a lot of people overlook. The more efficient the powertrain, the less lifetime emissions, and the cheaper it is for the customer to actually operate. This is really important. A lot of people think, well, it's going to cost me the same to charge up my vehicle no matter what it is. No, not true. The more efficient your vehicle, the less you're effectively going to pay per mile. Assuming the average EV needs a battery replacement at some point in its life. Again, I see a lot of these lifetime studies, as we saw earlier in this video, batteries still at 90+% capacity after 200,000 miles driven. You're not going to need to replace the battery in an EV, period. Not considering emissions generated through the oil refining and transportation process, and using outdated data for carbon impact of cell manufacturing. This is important. There's a lot of people out there, some of them just stupid, some of them with confirmation bias, some of them with really poor information, who seem to still think that electric vehicles overall have a far worse lifetime impact on the environment than an ICE vehicle. These people are deluded. Maybe they're citing some of the so-called studies that are doing these things and failing to account for some of these things like powertrain efficiency, etc. And again, going back to this magical number, 69 tons, the lifetime CO2 emitted by an average internal combustion engine vehicle. Just take a moment to try to imagine 69 tons. That's almost as much as the combined mass of your girlfriend and your mum. And now taking a closer look at average life cycle emissions in the US, a Model 3 for personal use, grid charged versus the average mid-size premium US ICE vehicle, not even close. There is absolutely no contest here. Tesla also showing some other scenarios, for example, a Model 3 for ride sharing, which means it's higher utilization rate, more miles driven for the lifetime of the vehicle. If this is solar charged, it's just a speck. So Tesla's robotaxi is really critical to their mission over the longer term. You can also see the difference, the average life cycle emissions in New York State, which has a much, quote, greener grid, significantly reduced total lifetime emissions versus the average US vehicle, which doesn't charge off the grid. So it doesn't matter if the grid's clean or not in that state. If you're filling it up with gasoline, you're going to have equivalent emissions. Doesn't matter. Here's the same data for Europe, a much cleaner grid overall today. So we're seeing a much starker contrast. This is the US, this is Europe. Reducing carbon footprint even further, improving powertrain efficiency. Tesla robotaxis will be even more energy efficient. If you're a Tesla stock investor, pay very close attention to the following paragraphs. The energy efficiency of Tesla vehicles will continue to improve over time as we continue to improve our technology and powertrain efficiency. It is also reasonable to assume that our high mileage products, such as our future Tesla robotaxis, will be designed for maximum energy efficiency as handling, acceleration, and top speed become less relevant. We can read into the tea leaves quite a bit here. Clearly, the $25,000 Tesla is going to be a little bit more focused on longevity, not so much performance-centric. But as I said earlier in this video, I told you guys, I'm going to keep saying it, there will be another generation of Tesla to come after this, which is absolutely optimized for robotaxi. I think it's going to be a lower mass vehicle. I think it's going to require a smaller battery pack. A lot of people in a recent video when I was predicting the size of the average battery pack in a Tesla vehicle in 2031 says I was a moron. There's no way it's going to be 50 kilowatt hours, Stephen. A lot of people failing to account for one, improvements in energy density and overall efficiency, but more important than that, the reduction in mass, not only from manufacturing processes, but also if Tesla's designing a robotaxi, they're not as focused on handling, acceleration, etc., and top speed, they're going to be able to pull out even more mass from these vehicles. The less mass, the less battery you need. Tesla's going to get more bang from their buck from battery cells in the future than they will today, and this robotaxi is the vehicle that absolutely ends the ICE age. Another great look at energy efficiency, we've got the Model Y head and shoulders above everything else in its class, and the same with the Model 3 versus everything else in its class. No contest. Notice the competition, so to speak, is fairly tightly bunched together, but Tesla just head and shoulders above in both cases. Reducing carbon footprint even further, Tesla manufacturing footprint. 1. Building new, better designed, more efficient vehicle factories. Quote, while we have already completed substantial improvements at Gigafactory Shanghai, further improvements will continue at Gigafactory Berlin Brandenburg and Gigafactory Texas. And I just want to jump in here. From a Tesla investor's point of view, forgetting about the environmental impact, the more efficient the factory, the less energy consumed, blah, 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 the more profitable Tesla becomes as a company. 2. Production localization. We've got some updated timeline again confirming that Tesla are on track for their Berlin Gigafactory to open in late 2021 and for their Austin, Texas Gigafactory to open in late 2021. And this graphic I think sums things up quite nicely. We can see Tesla's prior approach. One factory in the US, we've got huge transportation to get vehicles to Europe and to Asia. And now with localized factories, we've got Austin and the Fremont factory, we've got the Berlin factory, and we've got the Shanghai factory. This is saving emissions, transportation, but also, again, coming back from the investor's point of view, just better economics, less cost for Tesla to get vehicles to customers. 3, supply chain localization. This is a really interesting graphic. Vehicle manufacturing California, USA, about 73% of the parts and components in Tesla vehicles sourced within North America for the Fremont factory. However, China, about 86% of the parts sourced within China. This is one of the reasons why the made in Shanghai vehicles are even more profitable and have higher margins overall than the made in US vehicles. 4, covering roof space with solar panels. By the way, I hope Trevor Milton isn't watching this one. If you don't know why I said that, don't worry. Gigafactory Nevada was designed to be covered with solar panels. This installation will grow to about 24,000 kilowatt hours, the whole roof of the current building structure by the end of next year. This will make it the largest rooftop solar installation in the United States. Tesla really ain't messing around. 5. Transitioning to in-house manufactured 4680 cells, whose production process can reduce energy consumption by 70%. Now, once again, I just want to come back, great for the environment, but again, from the investor's point of view, if Tesla's reducing energy consumption and producing the most important piece of the puzzle, the battery cells, this again will see huge cost saving, meaning they can drive their costs down and the company will be operating more profitably over time. The new dry electrode process allows for reducing energy consumption in the overall cell manufacturing phase by at least 70% based on our latest analysis. 6. Transitioning to in-house cathode material manufacturing. Our cathode materials manufacturing process has the potential to reduce energy use in this step of the process by 40%. Once again, from the investor's point of view, huge cost savings, prices can come down, profits can go up. Great for the environment and great for the company. Win-win. Our batteries are designed to function for the entire life of the vehicle. We estimate that a vehicle gets scrapped after approximately 200,000 miles of usage in the US and roughly 150,000 miles in Europe. Creating a battery that could instead last for 1 million miles would dramatically reduce the emissions per mile driven for high mileage vehicles such as taxis, aka robotaxis, delivery vans, shout out to the imminent announcement of a Tesla van. If you haven't seen my video on Tesla's secret van, I'll put a link in the corner. I recommend you guys check that out. Or trucks, aka Tesla Semi. If you read between the tea leaves here, you can really pick up a lot from this report. Producing robotaxis is a core part of our mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. A single future Tesla vehicle with a 1 million mile battery could be utilized over 5 times more than an average vehicle in the US. Emissions credit, accelerating deployment of new factories. Once again, Tesla flexing on the entire world here. This is hilarious. It's just, I can't believe this is real. But anyway, let's read on. Emissions credit revenue is used for EV capacity expansion, which in turn displaces ICEs. I'm going to translate this. All the automotive manufacturers today who are buying ZEV credits from Tesla are literally paying Tesla to put them out of business. Literally. This isn't exaggeration, this isn't hyperbole. This is literally what's happening. In 2020, we generated almost $1.6 billion in revenue selling zero-emission regulatory credits to other OEMs who, jumping in here again, were too fucking slow to build enough EVs themselves to avoid enormous fines, so they literally had to pay Tesla almost $2 billion in a single year to help put them out of business. It's a strange simulation we live in. Proceeds from such sales will go towards building new factories to produce EVs that will continue to displace ICE vehicles. Once again, translating, displace ICE vehicles equals bankrupt all these dumb companies who didn't get their shit together fast enough and start ramping EV production. I mean, seriously, do you really think Volkswagen or name your other automotive company want to be paying Tesla billions of dollars to build new factories, to make vehicles that will outsell, outcompete, and ultimately bankrupt these companies? Obviously not. Electric vehicles sold. This is some great data showing the last 4 years total EVs sold. We can see Tesla again in a league of their own. VW a distant second place at about half as many EVs, and things just become extraordinarily embarrassing. GM an absolute spec, Stellantis a spec, Daimler, BMW, they're all irrelevant specs. Tesla is truly in a league of their own. This lead, unassailable. It's going to continue to grow over time. Product impact. Product affordability. Price equivalency between EVs and ICE vehicles. Quote, Tesla's ability to achieve our mission rests first and foremost on our products. We are not just trying to build the best electric cars. We are striving to build the best cars, period. Our focus from the beginning has been to develop products that are not only sustainable, but also superior to fossil fuel alternatives in every way. This is very important. Tesla have said from day one this was their plan. A lot of automakers ignored it. 2012, Model S wins Car of the Year. Was that a good hint to the automakers to go, oh, we got a problem here. This car's not just a good EV. I mean, Car of the Year. Should we do something about this? But of course, no action was taken. And now we can see here, Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus with its so-called competition, the ICE competition, the Mercedes C-Class, BMW 3 Series, and Audi A4, already priced towards the lower end of these, and this isn't even including cost of ownership, just purchase price. If I was Mercedes, BMW, or Audi, I would be shitting myself at this point. But then again, I'm not sure if they're smart enough to realize they're in trouble. Product affordability. Over 5 years of average driving, the ownership cost of a Tesla Model 3 are roughly the same as a Toyota Camry. Please let that sink in. This is factoring in total lifetime ownership cost, only a 5-year ownership period too, so if you own the vehicle for longer than that, obviously these costs become even lower because of the lower cost to operate, lower maintenance, lower cost to recharge, etc. But just think about that for a moment. If you're a smart consumer, and let's be honest, there's a lot of dumb consumers out there as well, I'm not going to lie. Shout out to advertising actually working. But if you're a smart consumer and you do the numbers and you think, hang on a minute, are you serious? You mean I can get a Tesla and it's going to cost me the same within 5 years as buying a Camry? Why would I buy a Camry? This is really important to understand. And obviously, when you look at the Tesla Model 3 versus, say, a BMW 3 Series, not even close. Active safety. Number of vehicular accidents per million miles driven. And again, just want to emphasize, even with no active safety features engaged, Tesla's dramatically safer than the US average vehicle. Now, I'd just like to take this opportunity once again to offend a large section of this audience by pointing out some facts. If you're a man watching this video and you have a family, it is your duty to protect and provide for your family. If your family is driving around in anything other than a Tesla, you have work to do. I'm not here to shame you if you can't afford a Tesla today, that's okay. But your goal should be able to get your family into the safest vehicles on the planet, which are unquestionably, the data is there to back it up, Teslas. Now I know there's going to be a few snowflakes in the comments right now. Bro, Steven, it's 2021, man. Gender roles? Are you serious? Gender roles in 2021? So here's a hypothetical scenario just for you numbnuts. You're at home with your wife, your kids are asleep. Somebody breaks into your home. Whose job is it to fend them off? Now, I think I've made my point, but just in case there's anybody that's still a little bit unclear, I'm talking to the guys right now. If you turn to your wife in this situation and go, hey honey, is it okay if I just go cower in the corner and you can fend him off? You're going to be divorced first thing in the morning. And again, more details about Tesla fire safety. As we heard earlier, fire incidents are around 11 times lower for Tesla vehicles than the average vehicle in the US. And as I said, you definitely wouldn't know this if you pay attention to the fake news. It's a good thing that they would never lie, deceive, manipulate, or mislead us on any other topics outside of Tesla, of course, isn't it? And now onto solar and storage. First of all, this graphic, absolutely beautiful. As a Tesla investor, man, this gets me excited. Tesla energy storage deployments in gigawatt hours. Look at that beautiful exponential curve. Just imagine what this looks like in 21, 22, 23, 20, you guys get the point, right? Quote, in 2020, Tesla sold 3 gigawatt hours worth of energy products, roughly 25% of the 12 gigawatt hour global market. Let's take a step back and let that sink in. Tesla has a quarter of the entire global market for energy storage products. A quarter of the entire market. In order to switch global energy usage to renewable sources, we estimate that global annual battery storage production will need to increase to around 10,000 gigawatt hours. If you suck at math, that is about an 850 times increase from where we are today. Not 85, not 8.5, 850 times. A little bit of food for thought. Quote, in Massachusetts, for example, we estimate that an average solar and storage system pays for itself with energy cost savings within approximately 12 years. As the cost of these products continues to decline, more customers will be willing to switch to solar and storage products purely due to lower overall cost. This is obviously an important point. Imagine if your payoff period reduces to 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, 4, 3. This is where things are heading. The more economically viable it is, the more financially beneficial it is for customers to get their own solar and their own storage products, the more likely customers are to do this. And as we know, as Tesla scales up solar and batteries, and other companies as well, the costs are going to continue to decline. This is going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And now onto Tesla's commercial products. The beauty of selling commercial storage systems such as Megapack is that purchasing such a product is almost purely a mathematical decision for our commercial customers. Now I just want to take a step back here, as opposed to an emotional decision for a lot of retail consumers. If you're a business, you look at the numbers and go, well, we buy this, we save this much money, it's a done deal. Simple as that. Quote, if installing Megapack makes economic sense, there is no reason not to install one. Now, this is worth letting sink in for a moment. We're not just talking about, say, for example, energy providers here who've got like a solar farm or a wind farm that buy some batteries and it makes sense for their business. We're also talking about businesses themselves. If a business uses a large amount of energy, and they do the numbers, they realize, oh shit, we buy some Tesla battery packs, it's actually going to save us $100 million, $10 million, whatever over this period of time. It is an absolute no-brainer. These things literally sell themselves to commercial customers. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this run through Tesla's 2020 impact report. As I said, I really recommend you guys read the entire report, almost 100 pages, full of gold, lots of information, key insights into Tesla's business, their impact on the environment, and some hints about future products and future plans as well. There's a link to the full report in the description, and I'd love to know, what do you guys think is the most important insight or piece of information in Tesla's 2020 impact report? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan, this is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card, where you can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase. There's a link in the description. You can also earn up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, also linked below. And finally, don't forget your free stocks with WeBull and Stake, also linked in the description. These great offers also help out the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.